Moving to another country is the huge financial decision. So before you start searching for your first apartment in Germany, I want you to be prepared for that, financially prepared. And that's why in this video, I want to share with you the most common financial aspects that you need to know before you start searching your first apartment in Germany. And let's set up expectations straight away. I won't share with you any price range in this video because prices for apartments heavily dependent on the area. They vary from city to city, from state to state. So overall, you would definitely see different prices if you search for different places in different areas, quite obvious. But in this video, I really want to concentrate on the basic information that would help you to make it simple for you to search for an apartment and understand what actually the terms that are used for renting out apartment in Germany, especially if you are newbie to this country and you don't know all the aspects. So I would highlight what you need to take care about when you are searching for an apartment. I'm pretty sure you would be thankful till the end of this video because I prepared for you some takeaway. And let's dive deep straight to the first point that I wanted to highlight in this video. Let's talk about cold and warm rent. That's how Germans call the Kaltmiete and Warmmiete. What does it mean? Cold rent, it's the price that you pay for square meters that you basically renting without any utilities included. And warm renting price usually includes some of the utilities that are required for your apartment. And this price may vary. Sometimes it's more expensive, sometimes it's less expensive. It depends on the area where you live and in general how big the living unit is, how much resources it requires in order to be supported with all the household stuff that is needed. But actually I want to pay your attention that the warm renting price normally doesn't include electricity, Wi-Fi, other stuff that you need. So that's why if you want to know how much I personally pay for my life in Berlin, make sure you watch this video where I transparently shared all the details, how much I spend on the regular basis. And by the way, if you are new to this channel, I would recommend you to subscribe because definitely you would find a lot of helpful information about managing your personal finances and also building your stable life as an expat in Germany. And moving back to the topic of this video, I actually want to share with you something from the personal experience. When you are renting your apartment very first time, usually agency who are renting out those apartments, they try to do the offer as attractive as possible and they are lowering the price as much as it can be. So that's why after 1 year when you lived in an apartment, you usually get the invoice to compensate some overused resources. That could be the heating or the water or any other services that are included in your warm renting price. Why it happens? Because usually they try to do as low assumption on the year ahead as possible. So that's why only after a year or so living in this household you would understand how much you usually use and your renting price might be recalculated. So don't be shocked and don't be surprised when at the end of the year you receive the invoice and you need to pay 300 euro or even 1,000 euro, or your price is being recalculated and now you're paying higher. It's kind of expected, so be prepared for that and wait for the real numbers to come to shape your final warm renting price for the apartment that you are going to stay in. And actually all those utilities that I listed that are included in the warm renting price are called Nebenkosten. That usually includes the cleaning, the winter season cleaning as well, supplying you with all the needed bins for recycling materials, and also making sure that if something is broken in your apartment, they are going to fix that because you're basically renting that, paying that in your regular rent. It can vary from one case to another, so don't quote me there because I know that some people are actually doing the additional insurance for the cases when something may go wrong with an apartment, but if it's like broken glass on the window or broken device that they are providing by default as the basic setup for the apartment, that it's on the agency or the owner who needs to cover that and fix that for you without additional costs. And good news is that actually all those Nebenkosten you can partially subtract or deduct from your taxes, and I've shared already what you actually can do with your taxes in Germany, so make sure you watch this video if you are interested in this particular topic. And we are moving on to the third point. It's SCHUFA. That's the certificate that provides the information about your banking score. And yes, Germany actually relies on the scoring system to make sure that you are a trustworthy tenant to rent an apartment. So that's why before you go to any Besichtigungstermin, that's how it's called, the appointment, when you come to see an apartment and all other attendees are coming at the same time, so you would actually see how big the competition is for one single apartment. But SCHUFA is actually one of the required documents for you to provide if you really want to rent any apartment in Germany. And you can apply for that online. It's actually that easy. You need to pay 30 euro, at least I was paying a few years ago, 30 euro for this service, and you can do this online within maybe 5 minutes. If you want to have the physical version of the certificate, you can actually request it and you would get it delivered to your home around 3-5 days, business days. And what actually the SCHUFA means, it's just the service that goes into your banking information and scores all the different aspects of you as a trustworthy person and provides this information more in a graphical way, showing how well you're treating your finances in order to make an impression on your potential landlord, how serious you are with your finances and how risky you are as a tenant. And if you have a good score, obviously you will most likely will get an apartment. If you have a low score, you most likely would be rejected. Talking about finances, also what you need to prepare before you start searching for an apartment, it's the deposit. And it's quite a significant amount of money, and it's called in German Kaution, and you need to know the cold price of an apartment to actually understand how much money you need to pay as the deposit. For some private renting, it may vary, so they might ask less or more, but usually if you are renting an apartment from the agency as the main point of contact, usually they have a standard process. They do charge you for 3 prices of the cold rent as your deposit that they keep on their side until you're moving out from the apartment, and only then when you moved out you can actually receive those money back if you haven't destroyed anything in the apartment, and it technically doesn't require any additional repair before the new tenant would move in. But make sure you have this chunk of money ready for just deposit, and you won't see this money for the next, I don't know how many years you would decide to live in that specific apartment. And this is important to know when you are searching for some expensive apartment, because if the single cold rent price would be 2,000 euro, then you need to keep in mind that for deposit you need to have at least 6 euro additionally to just put it as a deposit for your landlord to move into that specific apartment. And it's very helpful to prepare yourself financially before you actually start thinking and preparing yourself for moving to Germany. One more aspect that I wanted to highlight in this video that actually combines finances and renting an apartment in Germany is the Mietschuldenfreiheitsbescheinigung. Yes, it's such a long word. It actually means the certificate that confirms that you don't own any money to your previous landlord. And usually when you are coming first time, they might not require this document from you, but if you had already a few months living in a temporary apartment, they might request you to have this document that you actually been trustworthy tenant on your previous place and you are trustworthy for another landlord to give you the offer to become a new tenant of the new apartment. So make sure you also think about that up front and make sure you have these documents, because usually it takes some time for you to receive the paper that actually specifies that you don't own any money to the previous landlord and you can be free to search for another place to move in. But if you never been living in Germany, or you lived like I did and as the student in some WG or student dormitory, that might be not required. So they would ask you to provide a contract that becomes like kind of a guarantee that you're a trustworthy person and you have already established a relationship with your employer. So that's why they kind of can replicate the same level of trust to you as your employer does. But renting apartment in Germany, it doesn't only mean finding an apartment, it also means quitting or resigning your previous apartment at the timely manner. And that's why I want to bring one more term to this video. It's the Kündigungsfrist. It's the notice period that we have here in Germany to live in an apartment. And if you decided that you moved into the apartment and you don't really like it, for example, you actually need to make sure how long is your mandatory staying in period. For my very first apartment it was 1 year, for my second apartment it was 2 years minimum I have to stay in that apartment, and then I had 3 months Kündigungsfrist, so notice period, to give a note to my landlord that I'm going to leave this apartment. But actually that's the time for you to relocate all your stuff and give the keys back, maybe a few days or exactly the last day of the month, and they cannot prolong it on your will to give you another few days. Usually it's very strict here in Germany to live in an apartment. Only if you keep all those requirements, giving it back clean and clear, not having the severe damage on the apartment, and also doing this in the timely manner, only then you are eligible to receive your money back from your deposit. But actually very important to understand that usually you get it within next 6 months, so that's why don't rely on those money to cover the deposit for the next apartment. That would be the money that would come later, and hopefully would be the same sum as you give it initially. One more term that I wanted specifically to share with you in this video, it's the abbreviation WBS. The full name is Wohnberechtigungsschein. It's usually the paper that is given by the official state office in Germany that provides the information that you are actually eligible for applying for an apartment with reduced price that are subsidized by the social programs. And quite often I know that some families who are just immigrants applying for that because they don't have enough income. Once, for example, one parent is working and another is sitting in with kids. So that's why I can provide you with the numbers. In Berlin, for example, if the family of 2 people receives less than 25,200 euro annual net income, they are actually eligible for receiving the specific document and applying for apartment that are actually signed up with this WBS abbreviation. And when you would start searching for an apartment, don't be surprised that you see some apartments with lower price range. And actually you would see those 3 letters that would show you that only people who have the certificate proving the fact that they don't have enough income can apply for subsidized apartments. And with that said, I would actually share with you the link where I prepared all those terms that I just described for you in this video in the single paper, so you can download it, copy paste it and share with your friends whenever you are going to search an apartment, in order to not review the whole video from A to Z, but rather just going through all the terms and understanding what does it mean whenever you start searching for your first apartment. And by the way, share with me which city in Germany you would choose to move in and where would you like to live in Germany. And let's keep in touch, stay tuned, watch the video that are already available on my channel, and let's see each other in my next episode. Take care and see you. Bye bye.